Before we operate a motor vehicle, especially when we're taking a trip, we use a pre-drive safety checklist. It's kind of like the checklist you have before flying your drone, but it's tailored for the road and road readiness. We check our mirrors, we adjust the seat, fasten seat belts, make sure that the fuel level is correct, inspect tires, check all warning lights. We make sure all items are secure to prevent distractions in case we have to come to a sudden stop. And we also make sure that we have a mental plan of exactly where it is that we're going. So, in this video, I'm going to show you 10 things that a remote pilot must do before flying a drone, and it is called a pre-flight checklist. And regardless of whether you're flying recreationally or you're flying a drone commercially, if you miss one of these, you could risk your drone, your footage, or even a hefty fine. So let's make sure that none of these things ever happen to you right after this. Okay, so one of the things that's important is to understand what is 14 CFR Part 107.49. This is a pre-flight familiarization, inspection, and actions. This regulation states that before each flight, the remote pilot must do certain things. Now, the very first thing on the list is to review the weather conditions in advance prior to going to the location. For example, what is the wind, the visibility? Is there precipitation? Is it humid? Or is there a chance of thunderstorms? You'll find METAR reports at aviationweather.gov, and you can also call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a standard weather briefing, 1-800-992-7433. And just so you know, before you can actually use this service, you're going to have to sign up for an account. Very simple. All you have to do is just to go to 1-800-WXBRIEF.com and you'll be able to create an account from there. Now, the second thing that you must do before you fly is to actively conduct a survey of the site location. This includes the location of people, property, and also obstacles that may cause interference, local weather conditions, local airspace, and any flight restrictions. We're going to go over all of these in detail, but the first thing that you'll see me doing is to make sure that my environment and the sky around it is clear of anything that will obstruct me from what I need to do. Now, as you can see, this is a large facility and there's quite a bit of ground to cover here, so I'm driving in my vehicle so that way I have adequate means of transportation being able to cover all areas on a timely basis. And what I mean by all areas is not simply just the facility of which I plan on inspecting or taking photos of. It's also the area that's around it to make sure that it is what's called sparsely populated, as the FAA would require. So that way there are not too many people involved in my operation and I don't have to worry too much about flying over people. And also I'm observing the airspace to see if there are any other remote pilots who are conducting operations at this specific location. And lastly, making a determination as to where it is that my command center, my home base, where will that be in regard to this specific area and location. Now keep in mind that your home base or your home point can be moved at any time based on your own personal or professional discretion. Number 3, pre-packed materials. Now you should have inside of your case a drone, remote, batteries, and your certification documentation. I usually keep the physical registration paper within the case of each drone that I own. The FAA allows you to have a physical paper, or you can just keep a photo of it on your phone. Anywhere you choose, you should be able to present them upon request. Now, the fourth thing that you need to do is to inspect your equipment. This includes your drone, your remote, your batteries, and making sure that you have an SD card installed also. And you just noticed that I was playing around with the control sticks to make sure that they were working properly. Now, the top 2 antennas, you'll want to make sure that they're firmly mounted onto your drone and also that you can position them correctly. And a lot of pilots do not know that the antenna position on a drone is very important for maintaining a strong signal between the controller and the drone. The ideal antenna orientation is generally perpendicular 90 degrees to the direction of the drone. And the reason that this is so important is to understand that radio signals emit a donut-shaped pattern around the antenna, so it's important that you have it positioned correctly when you're flying your drone. So if your antenna is pointing directly at your drone, that's actually the weakest part of the signal. Number 5 is your battery inspection. Now you notice I have 6 batteries here, so each one of these batteries needs to be inspected separately. And although they are individual, each one represents a total part of the equipment that I possess right now. And it's also recommended that you have them numbered numbers so that way you're using them in sequential order. Now, one of the things that you're going to need to train your eyes to do is to look for potentially hazardous signs. If you're looking at a battery and it's beginning to look like a pumpkin, meaning it's not flat, it's bulging at the very top, that means that you have a potential problem, such as the one you're looking at right now. You'll also want to make sure that the locking clips on the batteries are firm so that way there's no potential chance of it becoming dislodged from the drone while the drone is in mid-flight. And even though I'm just showing you one battery, this procedure will be conducted with all 6 batteries before I actually take off. Number 6, your drone inspection. Now, this is a very important inspection to pay attention to. Propellers, chassis, gimbal guard, and your SD card all determine whether your mission or your flight will be success or failure. Now, I always use a gimbal guard whenever I'm transporting my drone from location to location, but one of the things that you must do is make sure that you remove the gimbal guard before flight. We'll get back to this in just a second. Also, inspecting the battery compartment is very important to make sure that there's no foreign object inside before you insert your batteries, and also check to make sure that you not only have an SD card, but it's inserted correctly. This is all part of your pre-flight checklist, and if you don't have this memorized, then you can always write it down on a piece of paper and keep it with you when it's time to begin your operation. Now, I'm pointing to the gimbal guard again as a reminder because I haven't completed the inspection of the drone yet. And you can see that I'm unfolding the arms that have the propeller blades attached so I can conduct a visual inspection. And now this is the point where I remove the gimbal guard because I have to conduct a visual inspection of this area also. Now, what I'm looking for is anything that may restrict the movement of this gimbal, such as something lodged in the back. And keep this in mind, you never want to touch the camera gimbal when you have the battery inserted and the drone is powered on. So now I'm going to inspect the obstacle avoidance sensors to make sure that there's no dirt and that they're clean, free from any debris. And notice that I have multiple obstacle avoidance sensors. This is going to vary from drone to drone, but the procedure is basically the same. And if they are dirty, just do what I do. Pre-pack a microfiber cloth so that way when you have something that's dirty, you'll be able to clean it without causing any scratches or damage. And what's so convenient is that the obstacle avoidance sensors on my DJI Mini 4 Pro can also double as cameras as well. Now, if you're flying a drone commercially, regardless of what the drone weighs, you will need to register the drone with the FAA, and that registration number must be displayed on the drone chassis. And for you recreational flyers, you do not have to register your drone if it is under 250 grams. Now, checking the underside of the drone, I want to make sure that all of the sensors are clean, and more importantly, all of the attachments, the mounting screws, and the LED light are all in place properly. Now, here's where we come to what many would say is probably the most important part of the inspection, and that is the propeller blades. Now, these might seem to be just a cheap piece of plastic, but actually they are not. This is what creates the lift and maneuverability of your aircraft, and you want to make sure that they're not bent, cracked, or broken. Now, what I usually do is to make sure that the propeller blades are mounted firmly onto the rotor. Now, they can either be attached by screws or they can be locked in place, but you'll want to make sure that you check every single one of them to make sure that you don't have any issues when your drone is in flight. And if you've ever seen what happens to a drone when it loses a propeller blade, then you'll have a lot of respect for what it is that I just showed you. And the final inspection here is just to check the overall chassis to make sure that there are no cracks or anything that's loose, damage, or anything like that. Number 7, I want to confirm my airspace classification. Is authorization required? Are there any temporary flight restrictions, or am I flying in Class G airspace? Now, looking at the building that I'm going to be inspecting, there is a class of airspace that's directly around or above this building, but I have to keep in mind that there are other classes of airspace that are away from the building, and knowing and understanding the proximity of those other classes of airspace is what's going to keep me safe because I'll be flying within legal limits. Now, this is not in one direction, this is omnidirectional from my home point, and I have to have a 360-degree approach to my situational awareness. Case in point, suppose there was a heliport that was directly east of my location and they were flying helicopters in and out with patients. All of these possibilities must be factored into your operation. And you can do this simply by downloading and opening your Lance application. You'll be able to know exactly what's around you. You see at the drop pin, that is within controlled airspace Class B, but I am not at that location. I'm where the little blue dot is. And if I tap on the little blue dot, the drop pin will relocate to where I'm currently at and tell me that authorization is not required because I am flying in Class G airspace. And you can see if I tap on controlled airspace, that is telling me that authorization is required. So this app is very convenient. It allows you to be able to know exactly where it is that you're flying and what authorization is either needed or not required. Number 8, powered on procedures. Now there's a systematic order for doing things, and the first thing that I want to do is be able to make sure that I can insert my battery and check the battery to make sure that once it's inserted properly, that even if I try to force it out physically, that there is no way that it's going to become dislodged when it is in mid-flight. And you'll be surprised at how many remote pilots do not perform this one important check. Number 9 is my takeoff and landing pad. Now this is very important because on different surfaces and different terrain, you're going to need something flat where you can take off and land your aircraft. And the reason for this is because if you don't have a flat surface, then you take a chance of either damaging your propeller blades, or maybe your gimbal may get stuck on a rock and then you won't be able to fly your drone because your gimbal will malfunction. So now let's move to the last thing that you need to do, number 10. Power on procedures. And there's a certain order that I usually do this: remote first, drone, look for my GPS, and then establish a home point. Now, powering up these devices are pretty simple, and also establishing the GPS is done automatically, but it is very important that once you establish a home point, that you also test to make sure that the drone will return to the location where you wanted it to come back to. Make sure that your display is not indicating that you have to do some sort of calibration or an additional adjustment. Check your gimbal to make sure it's not stuck, and also move the gimbal manually to make sure that it is functioning. Check for error messages to make sure that your SD cards are working correctly. Verify if there's any geofencing, and also make sure that there are no temporary flight restrictions being indicated on your display. And after all of those checks are completed, activate your propellers, and now you're ready to lift off. But before you actually put this thing in the air, do a double check and make sure that there's nothing flying over you, such as birds or anything else, and then you'll be ready to fly. Now, I hope this checklist was useful and provided you with some helpful information. And I'll be having some more videos in the near future for drone reviews and drone tutorials, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't already done so, you can subscribe to check out some of my already uploaded videos for the Remote Pilot Certification Study Guides FAA Part 107 exam. And as always, if you have any questions, post your comments and I will get back to you in the best way that I can. Until then, we'll see you on the next one.